Hey, everybody. Welcome to GameHounds podcast, the first podcast or the first show after Christmas. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith, and we are here on GameHounds. Hey, how you doing? So we're just doing some early stuff, and Nick has not got no news. Andrew is desperately trying for news. Meanwhile, I have been working on getting news since 8 a.m. Actually, I work on it all week.
And
okay. 8 a.m. I started coalescing all the things that I'd collected over the week.
Okay, I have noticed. Oh yeah, go. What?
It is nice to hear my name correctly, like without any mix-ups.
What did I?
You didn't write this.
Goalie.
Yeah.
I don't. I've only a couple of times called you goalie.
The
last time we talked.
There's so far. Like the past 2 times you've done it. So this will be the next test is whenever this show starts for good.
Yeah. And the next show we're going to do is in 2021. Did you know that?
Yeah, this is the last show of 2020.
Mm-hmm. Right. Unless the year just resets.
Unless the year resets.
It's just a whole worldwide Groundhog's Day.
Oh God, I hope not. All right. So how was your Christmas, you guys?
Also noticed that like the font of the stuff has changed.
Yes, we have changed.
Did you do that? Or
yes,
okay,
I did.
Cool.
Testing it out. We might keep it. We might not. We could change the colors if we want.
I like the yellow. I feel like there should be yellow because there's yellow and red in the GameHounds logo.
Right.
Like you kind of see it in the upper right of the screen.
AC Wraith is here who says, Merry Happy. I'll be a minute getting a beverage before the show starts. Ooh, look at that new theme with the bubble on the bubble. That's kind of nice. Yeah. All right. So
I was lax in my coffee
pop-up video.
Yeah, it does kind of look like pop-up video.
Pop-up video.
I'll say I was lax in my coffee responsibilities, and it turns out I do not have any more creamer. I need to go get some more. And so I ended up having to use the eggnog from last week as creamer.
Oh, eggnog makes a great creamer. It really does.
And so now I've got a spiked eggnog coffee.
So, I got myself my own Christmas present because I know, you know how it is. There's Christmas presents you know other people are going to get you, and then there's Christmas presents you know nobody is going to get you, and you really need it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, you got an awesome gift from
Kevin?
Yes.
Oh, yes. He bought me a Ring Central doorbell.
Oh.
Because, you know, nothing says love to your dear wife.
Like a doorbell.
Like a Ring Central doorbell.
Yeah. I love you, Kevin.
I bought Kevin an iPhone.
But what model of iPhone?
11. I bought him an 11.
Not a 12?
Not a 12. I just didn't see the extra money worth it. It's the same screen size, which was the big issue for him, is screen size.
Throw it. If it's not the latest model, that's just a slap in the face.
And you know, it was so much less expensive to do that than the
Yeah, still, I imagine 11's probably like several hundreds.
It was under 4 figures out the door, but not by much.
Damn.
Yeah. Because I got the agnostic one. I didn't get the AT&T one because
we had issues.
Yeah. We've had issues in the past where we've like gone to Europe, and we were very thankful that we had unbranded iPhones and had chosen to pay up for that, because you cannot use those elsewhere if you've got a brand, like an iPhone that's like, no, you can't switch out your SIM card. It won't work. So yeah. So I bought myself a Nespresso machine, and even though K-cups are evil, don't get me wrong, K-cups are truly, there's very few things in this world that have been made that are as evil as K-cups, just because they put so much fucking plastic stupidly into our landfills that it is just mind-boggling. Yeah, I find Cape cups evil, but Nespresso, because it uses metal cups, they actually, when you order the Nespresso coffee pods, they send you a bag that is a prepaid bag through UPS, and you throw all of your pods into the bag, used pods, seal it up, just stick it in the mail, and they take it back and recycle it.
Huh. Nice.
So they are not evil
Can-
in the
Can
the
they
waste.
not make like recyclable pods or like biodegradable pods? Is there something about the material that doesn't work with coffee brewing?
I
If
think
it's
they just don't give a shit.
Oh,
if it's
okay.
biodegradable, like a lot of people want to make that more of a thing, but when it comes to long-term storage life, like something like a cup that you don't know when you're going to be selling that, you got to be careful that that's not going to break down into the coffee at any time.
Right, and
So-
coffee tends to be acidic, so it would be possibly an issue.
Okay, so I guess they're doing the best that they can.
I hope. I mean,
No,
Yeah.
Krups is horrible. Krups is horrible, horrible people. Truly, truly Nazis. Truly Nazis. In fact, origins in Nazi Germany does not surprise me. Krups is a terrible, terrible company. They will be laughing all the way to their Nazi outpost on the moon while the rest of the earth burns. Yeah. So yeah, I bought myself an espresso machine, and I
Cool.
am so unbelievably caffeinated these days.
Okay, it's been worth it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
I feel you though. I had a friend who bought me a external hard drive because I had mentioned before that I have storage issues, but they didn't know that I had bought one for me like 6 months ago for my PlayStation, and then a friend of mine had bought for my birthday a hard drive for my PC, so I didn't need it, and I appreciated that.
Huh.
That's pretty much it that I had gotten for Christmas, so I ended up going out of my way to buy a bunch of PC parts and basically going to
nice.
upgrade my PC. That was my own Christmas gift.
By the way, I saw there was a really screaming good deal on a really good pre-made gaming computer today on Best Buy. Unfortunately, by the time I went to it, it was sold out, but it was an alarmingly good computer. That yeah, I mean, it sold out almost instantly because it was that good. It was on Best
got a
Buy.
Bunch of good geeky things, but for myself, I had gotten this on Black Friday, the Porgs with the lightsaber, because I thought it was cute and funny.
Yep.
That was my one Christmas gift to myself. But then one thing my brother's girlfriend got me that I'm really looking forward to trying out is a cookbook that's Lovecraft themed called the Necro Nom Nom Nom.
That's awesome.
That is great.
Yeah.
I want that
And
so badly right now.
It's basically like a bunch of recipes, and like in the bulk of the book, they're written in the very Lovecraft style with like a lot of overwrought descriptions. But then in the back half, it's like, if you didn't figure out what we were saying there, here's just the flat out recipe. But it's a bunch of fun themed things. Like their version of pigs in the blanket is cultists in the blanket, where like you cut the sausage into little pieces and half wrap the sausage so that it looks like an octopus cultist in robes instead of just a pig wrapped in a blanket. And it's like, okay, this is really cool. I'm looking forward to trying some of these out.
Uh-oh, got news. Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Man suspected of setting off bomb perished in explosion that rocked downtown Nashville on Christmas Day. So it was a suicide bomber. There it
Okay.
is. The Necronom Nom Nom.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it.
That is a genius idea.
It's pretty good.
It's great.
Yep. All right. So shall we do a show?
I mean, we're all here. We've gathered. I mean, it'd be a waste.
We got Bitters in the chat room. How you doing, Bitters? We got he says I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077 on GeForce now and laughing at all the peasants as I enjoy this masterpiece. Wonder what the poor people are doing today.
When we rise up against the elite, rich upper class, you'll be on that list, bitters. I'll
Yep.
be coming for you.
Yep, you and your damn K cups.
I'll put you in the guillotine, and then I'm taking that G-force for myself.
And then I'll be one of those guys.
Yeah.
It is the G-force of death. If somebody gets the G-force, somebody else kills them, and then picks up the G-force, and then somebody else kills them.
Oh, yeah. Because that's the thing. I'm not killing you out of any sense of moral or ethical superiority. I just want what you have.
Mm-hmm. Corey Wallace wants to know, did we already report on the adult film industry in Cyberpunk?
I have not heard about that.
Don't know anything about that. I will let you be the resident expert of the adult film industry in gaming memes. All right. So
just Googling. Apparently,
it's guillotine or guillotine. It is guillotine.
Gia? I thought it was Gia.
Guillotine.
Guillotine?
It's a super soft L, but it's guillotine in English.
I always said guillotine.
Oh, it's guillotine. Guillotine. I'm sorry, like you guys are saying so much stuff.
Tiny.
Yeah, I'll call it the guillotine. But just Googling real quick, I did see like Pornhub was in the news for like removing a whole bunch of videos. And I guess Cyberpunk 2077 sex scenes survived that content purge.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Yep. Bitters Plus, Eve Guillotine. No, Eve Guillotine is the guy that invented the guillotine. Monsieur Guillotine. Monsieur, it was named for the man who invented it. Monsieur
I knew that. I just
Guillotine.
it was first name Yves, because you said that. My first thought was Yves Guillemot. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look it up. Guillotine. Guillotine inventor is Joseph Ingas Guillotine. You're right. It is not.
Okay, so he's
Yves Guillotine.
making a Ubisoft joke.
Yep, it's an Ubisoft. Yeah. Joseph Ignace Guillotine, who is a physician.
Joe Guillotine.
Yeah, Yves Guillotine. He founded Ubisoft. All right. Let's do this. Starting the show.
Video games, modern culture, and technology. And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode. What episode is it? It is episode 576. We are recording this on Sunday, December 27th, 2020, the last show of 2020. I'm your host, Edie Sellers, and with me is Andrew Smith and Nick DiNicola. Hey, guys.
You got it right.
How's it going? Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I really wish that Spreaker would allow me to disable the freaking pop-up buttons that whenever I hover over something, because it frequently gets in the way of me turning on the microphone. How are you guys? How was Christmas? Did you do anything fun?
I worked and then slept most of it. So
yeah, I saw my parents because they're kind of part of my quarantine bubble because they're like 30 minutes away. So I've been visiting them throughout. And yeah, my brother stayed in Colorado though, so we shipped all the presents to him and he shipped everything to us. But yeah, hung out with them. Nice. Watched some Bond movies, which is kind of a holiday tradition.
Really? Bond movies?
Yeah. Weirdly enough, because when I was growing up, it's one of the channels like TNT or USA or one of those would always have like a Thanksgiving Bond marathon. But like for a couple days, they would just show Bond movies 24/7, back to back to back to back. And so I grew up watching those, and so they don't do those anymore because I don't think they have those rights anymore. But it's still like I associate Thanksgiving and Christmas time with Bond movies.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah, this is the first year I woke up this morning and realized that this is the first year that I have in certainly recent memory that I have not watched A Christmas Story on Christmas Eve. Which I actually own the DVD of. So I'm going to go.
Is it just that you didn't have the time?
Yeah, I had totally had the time. Well, Christmas Eve, I kind of sort of didn't. It was a busy day because I was working, even though I didn't get a single phone call. But I still do that daily show for the neighborhood with the COVID numbers and letting people know what businesses are open and talking about stuff and music and just essentially kind of keeping them connected. And something I did for Christmas Eve was I took a day for the first day in 280 days of not talking about COVID, and we just made it about Christmas Eve. And so I read 3 stories from Christmas stories. I did the A Visit from St. Nicholas, which is the poem 'Twas the Night Before Christmas poem.
Okay.
I read How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I read The Gift of the Magi. And so I pre-recorded those and put those to music so that they would be more entertaining to listen to instead of me just reading dryly. And so, yeah, I spent literally, I did not realize how long that would take. It took a long time to put that together. I mean, it took from 8:30 in the morning when I sat down until 5:00 when I started the show for me to be able to do that. And
Yeah,
then
like
I did
editing stuff like that's tough. Like props to
mean-
you for doing that 3 times.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't have been faster, but because I don't have access to Pro Tools anymore because I've upgraded my operating system, and it would cost us like a couple tens of thousands of dollars to upgrade our Pro Tools to work on this Mac, that I just went to Audacity. So kind of had to relearn how to do everything through Audacity, which is a little
That's a lot of money for Pro Tools.
Yeah, Pro Tools. Yeah, Pro Tools. A professional Pro Tools with everything is in the realm of $50,000. Yeah.
Looks like you're yawning, Nick.
Rip off. That is such
No, I mean, it's not just the
guess-
software. It's the software and all of the hardware that has to go to it. It is a full like rack system that you have to have.
Okay, and I guess it's professional grade stuff, right?
Professional grade stuff.
Okay.
Oh yes.
That's not for the
Oh,
average
yes.
consumer.
No, it is not for your average. This is the stuff
Okay,
that Kevin would edit, like Skywalker sound movies. He edited Star Wars on that thing.
Okay, that's a little bit more understandable.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
have
yeah,
business to pay for it, then that makes more sense.
Yes, you get business licenses for the software, but you still have to buy all the hardware for each of the pieces. But it's all, yeah. So AC Ray says I got a 70% off coupon for Warframe Platinum, so I bought 1,000 for $15, and then in-game bought one of those Frelling Necromechs so I can grind the holiday events for rewards.
I don't know what a necromech is, but it sounds
It was complete, like, total foreign language to me.
Necromechs are like kind of small Gundam-esque robots that you can just kind of hop into and like fight these bugs things. They have their own abilities. They're kind of fun.
Are they made out of bones?
No, they're
Where's the
robotic.
necropod come from?
They're from the old war, so they're like old technology before the Warframes were a thing, and they're like the proto Warframe, and they're just on this open world map that you can kind of hop into and then fight bugs with, fight the infested with.
Got it.
Cool.
So, what did you play? I wish I had updated I wish I'd uploaded the clip to because my Xbox account so I could pull it down so I could show you. But I have on Christmas, I pretty much played nothing but Assassin's Creed for an entire day and got through most of the Yule festival. I finally got through all of the fighting match, which was awesome. But
How many times did you beat that little boy?
oh, a lot. Just walk up and just hit him. Absolutely. The best part of it. But I think that the most interesting or the most thing I learned this week from Assassin's Creed was that chickens fucking suck and I'm going to kill every chicken that I run across.
Okay.
I learned that in Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. That was my
About
first
that,
experience.
yeah.
Yes.
Which, be careful because they will come back with a vengeance.
Yes.
So do chickens attack you in Ocarina of Time?
Yes, if you hit a chicken on accident, not only will the chicken attack you, but it will summon a endless legion of chickens to kill you, and they'll just keep flying out of the air, hitting you. And this holds true in the newest one, Breath of the Wild. Like I've seen somebody fight a big creature in there, and they just took a chicken and threw it at him while they were swinging, so that they hit the chicken, and then you just see chickens flying from the corners of the screen attacking the enemy.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that's way better than mine. My story was just I was, in this big story fight with Ivar I was fighting Ivar the Boneless or was I fighting? No, I was fighting with Ivar the Boneless, attacking this this village and burning down all of their houses so that the evil king could, the king that hated Ivar would come out of his castle and march on us so that we could start a fight. So here comes this big fight that we are gunning for, and they're coming down the road, and I am swinging for all I'm worth. There's way more of them than there are of us. We're totally outnumbered. I'm fighting for my life, and then a fucking chicken starts to attack me. In the middle of all of this. And I finally get through it. I'm like, fucking God, fucking damn. And the chicken is like attacking the back of my head while I'm trying to fight for my life. So
I had no
from
idea
now on, every chicken dies.
Even attack you in Assassin's Creed.
Yes, they will. The roosters will attack you. Absolutely.
What did you do
and
to piss off the
unprovoked. Because if I'd have hit the rooster would be dead.
Maybe the rooster was on the side of the other guys.
Just decided, and it wasn't the first time I've been attacked by a rooster. I have been attacked by a rooster going through walking through like pig pens and stuff like that, backyards, farmyards. A rooster will randomly attack you, but from now on, it is
very territorial.
Well, yeah, roosters are like that anyway. I mean, I've been attacked by a rooster in real life too. They're absolutely territorial.
I had a friend who owned chickens and a rooster, and she would say that when no one was around, so she couldn't prove this, the rooster would just chase her, like just to screw with her. And like when other people were around, it was the friendliest rooster in the world until she proved it once. But yes,
Chad.
We will talk about. Go ahead.
The chickens are rising up. The KFC console was the last straw.
We will be talking about that. But yeah. So yeah, all chickens must die in Assassin's Creed. Just you're warned if you're playing Assassin's Creed, the chickens definitely are mean.
I feel like
Not
that's
all
a
of
good.
them,
That's
the roosters
for life. All chickens must die.
No.
Well, I mean, except Skyrim. In Skyrim, the punishment for killing a chicken is far outweighs the crime.
What
in
is
Skyrim,
there?
1,000 gold bounty. So in Skyrim, you can murder a person, and it'll be like 100 gold bounty. But if you murder a chicken, the entire guard in the town will come to kill you, and you will be charged 1,000 gold.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
People love their chickens.
So yeah, that's what I did. Oh, and I guess I'll let Andrew talk about 7 days to die. I did play that yesterday, Nick. I played 7 days to
Right.
die.
That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I saw your text back and forth.
Yeah, it took a minute. I don't know. What's your opinion on it? Because I kind of gave the rundown last time, Edie, and I don't know how long you played after I hopped off, but
No, not for long. Pretty much I didn't want to go through evening by myself.
okay.
So I would say it is Fallout meets The Walking Dead meets Minecraft.
Okay.
That's the way I would describe it. It's kind of cool because it's got that element of it's got the element of building that you get out of Minecraft. Where if you start with nothing and you have to build up your tools so that you have the right tools to be able to do stuff. But there's also the element of exploration and looting into houses. Plus, there is the danger of real zombies that can absolutely kill you. No question that they can kill you. So yeah, it's definitely I'm liking it, but it's definitely something that I want to play with other people. I would not want to play it by myself. At least right now.
Which is fair. And once you get more used to it, like looting will speed up. You'll know exactly what each item's good for and what you want to keep or you want to leave behind. I personally grab everything because everything is useful in some way or another.
Right.
But with friends, it's a different experience. And once you get going and you can take quests, getting a gun literally changes the entire game. Suddenly, like, you don't have to worry about zombies as much. Like, they're still a threat. But, now you can kill them from a distance. And
I'm having a hard time finding the right good settings for my mouse and everything else. I'm finding it not easy to control, but we'll see. It's just a matter
that,
of how
I
good it
think,
is,
is just a PC gaming thing. Like, you don't normally game on PC. You could hook up a controller and use that if you'd like.
Right.
I'm not sure how well that would work. I've never used one. But if you're willing to give, like, PC a shot, after a while it'll become second nature. At least close enough that, we're not going to be winning any, like, Siege or CSGO tournaments. At least I personally won't. Edie, you may get into it.
You really want me to be a PC gamer. It's not going to happen.
But you will get used to it if you continue to play. It's just something that naturally happens. It's like anything. If you pick up a new controller, you're sloppy with it. It feels weird. But you'll learn. Yes, you'll learn. And once we, like I said, when we started playing, we started your own world. We went into your own game. And once you get used to it, we'll go hop into the server that I set up with everyone in it. And then you'll be able to experience a late game blood moon, which will be, we have a chest full of armor. We have weapons. You're basically going to show up a fresh-faced recruit, and we're going to throw a gun in your hand, tell you to stand somewhere, and shoot some zombies. And we'll give you like a handful of ammo.
I feel like that's the authentic zombie apocalypse experience.
So, first thing I did as soon as I had to play the game is went into a house because they're like, sit down and bedroll. I'm like, okay, I'm going to set the bedroll inside a house. That was a bad idea. All houses are bad.
Because there's zombies inside houses.
Zombies inside houses. Yeah.
And if you don't have any weapons or items, because the first thing you make is a bed, is
I hadn't laid down my bedroll, and that's where you set your spawn spot. So it just randomly generated me somewhere else in the world, and I have no idea where I was originally, so I lost all of my gear.
Yes.
That sounds kind of cool, because now you have to find your way back to the group. That's an adventure. That's a story right there.
Yeah, without any anything in your hands, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's how you got to make it. That's like, Robinson Crusoe, Lost in Space stuff. You got flung out to the other side of the continent.
You could do it, but it's the fact that things get bad in the evening at night is a problem.
Yes, the zombies go from
just
your mindless shambling.
Yeah, to actually pretty aggressive. You probably wouldn't make it. So a new player wouldn't make it the first night. Like if I was an expert player, yeah, no problem. But a brand new player wouldn't make it first night.
the first night we played, me and my friend, when I first started the game, we holed up in this building and we cleared it out of zombies, but we didn't. We died a few times, clearly. But eventually we just kind of stood there. And then the second night, we just literally huddled in this like small gas station that we had started fortifying and putting up chests and making our home. And we're just like, we're not going to go out tonight. We're too scared. We don't want that right now. Once you get along, though, you're just kind of like, night. Grab all your ammo, put it on you, and like just fuck night. It's nothing.
And if you come back to ESO, you should give me all your e-money and crowns. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Corey. I paid literally good US dollars for those. They're staying right where they are.
Having played, sorry,
yeah, no, you were saying.
Having played it, there's mechanics. So you've only seen a few zombies at a time, right? Mm-hmm. In the pre-generated map that I'm playing on, that the server's on, because we're playing the like base game map that they first developed. That's kind of, you know, what's going to be there, and it's like Minecraft in that you can get a seed, and if you press that seed in, you'll get exactly that map. But there's some nice tools for 7 Days to Die, like a program called Nitrogen, which lets you kind of customize what do you want: more farms, do you want more car lots, do you want more cities, do you want bigger cities, and you can kind of fill in these values and develop your own map. And then you can just have it re-roll till you find something that you like, and then you can play on that. That's what we did with ours. So it's like a really city-dense map where there's a lot of large buildings. And buildings are tiered from like 1 to 5. And the higher the tier, the more zombies they are. So when I played on the new map, I went to this, skyscraper. It was a bookstore thing. And I get to the top floor, and I'm like, okay, this is a little rough, but I'm living. And then I get swarmed by 15 zombies, and I get backed up into an elevator shaft, for which I fall down and die. Because I ran out of ammo. There's 2 zombies left, and I just backpedaled off of the top of the elevator into the shaft.
So with a building like that, could you, work your way up from the bottom to the top and basically clear it of zombies, or will they respawn when you turn your back, and so you can't ever really clear an area?
No, you can definitely clear a zombie. Like, you can clear a building, and if you leave after a time, zombies will come back. And in the video right now, he's picking up a quest, and quests will take you to any building, and if you start a quest there, it'll reset the building, the spawns, and the loot. So even if you loot out a building, you can respawn it if you get a quest for that same spot.
So the 15 zombies that attacked you, they weren't like, oh, they spawned behind you when your back was turned and screwed you over that way. It's like, no, you kind of missed them on your explorations. And
I got to the top room, and there was a zombie in front of me, and I didn't want to melee because I was low health, so I pulled out my gun and I fired. And normally fire guns not a problem, but I didn't have a lot of ammo at this point in the game, and then I never cleared a tier 4 building before. And suddenly, there was a mini horde coming from 2 different rooms, and I was fucked.
Okay, so that sounds like it's a good screwing you over.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Nothing about that was like the game's fault. That was completely mine. I shouldn't have been exploring that. There's a reason I die 4 times as much as anyone else in my game. And that's actually accurate. Like, the map we played before this one, I had 25 deaths compared to their 5 to 10. I'm a bit reckless.
Hey, they know. Always send you in first.
So I die first, yes. But I recently went back there, and now I have an M60, more ammo than I can count, and I cleared that building this time. But the reason I'm mentioning this is, on a blood moon, there are stats. For instance, we know that for each person, 8 zombies can be summoned at one time. So each person during a blood moon, during each spawning cycle, will have basically 8 to their name. And there is a maximum zombie count, but that increases with each subsequent blood moon. The number of total zombies you have to fight increases. So the more people you have, the more zombies you fight at once, to the point where I think Currently, the max is like 64 zombies at once, and we will be fighting that on a blood moon. Also, birds and dogs and fat zombies that will explode if you shoot them at the wrong spot. So we're going to give you a gun. Kind of, yeah. You can kill them before they explode, but we will give you a gun. We'll be like, here's your first blood moon.
So
and
you're
it
gonna
will be...
basically play Left 4 Dead at that point.
Yes, exactly. And it's great. We have, currently our strategy is we have reinforced a prison, and we're kind of on the outside wall catwalk, and they run through the courtyard, which we have like electric lines so that they get zapped. And then we have turrets at this door that they try to run up to, so that if they make it past the courtyard, which we're firing into because we're on the wall, they will run into this door and they get shot by turrets, ideally. Assuming we don't let somebody who can explode through, suddenly our defenses are gone and we're struggling. This has never happened.
It's like Helm's Deep.
But yes,
That's cool.
it's fun, and you're going to enjoy it if you stick with it. That's my 7 days to die stint, though. I'm good.
Good. So, any other games you want to talk about? Since we were just talking about 7 days to die, and I forgot to put the little thing up.
I've just stuck with Demon Souls and played more of that, and that's kind of all that I've done this week. I've gotten to a point where I was able to find a couple really cool new weapons, because for a long time I found a longsword that was infused with fire, and it did a lot of damage, and that was kind of my go-to weapon. But then I found a couple really awesome katanas, one of which scales really nicely, and so I know it's good now and will only get better in the future. But every time I hurt something with it, it hurts me too. So, it's got that interesting soul-sucking trade-off, and so I've got to keep healing myself. And then I found another katana that's even stronger, but whenever I have it out, it slowly decreases my health. Like, I'm just always losing health over time. And in both cases, those effects can be mitigated by a ring I have that regenerates my HP. But it's just really cool to find these cursed weapons that are not only new weapons that have a different speed of attack in heavy attack, so that kind of changes how I move through the game, but that they have these interesting new effects on them as well. It mixes up the combat in a really interesting way, and kind of exposes one of the things that's always fun about a Souls game is the weapon variety, and being able to, a katana actually plays significantly differently than a longsword, which plays significantly differently than a rapier. And so trying out all those weapons. What I did in Demon Souls this week is I basically spent an entire evening learning the intricacies of the upgrade system. Well, I just had a wiki open on my phone and just spent the game running back and forth from the guy who's in charge of my storage to the guy who's in charge of weapon upgrading, and just going back and forth to everyone, looking at the material I had, looking at the weapons I had, checking the wiki, and just going back and forth from all three things to figure out how can I upgrade what weapons, because you use hard stone to upgrade some weapons, sharp stone to upgrade some weapons, and then some stones infuse them with different abilities. And so it's a whole complicated process. And I spent an entire evening doing that, which sounds kind of boring, but it was really fun and interesting to kind of slowly unwrap that puzzle and figure out okay, what weapon do I want to dedicate myself to? Because throughout this early part of the game, I was basically just using weapons, magical weapons that I had found, like the longsword, that were really good for the early game, but didn't really scale, so that at a certain point, as I leveled myself up, this weapon would get less and less effective. So it was nice to do that whole RPG micromanaging of what is the weapon I want to use? What is my character going to be? Is strength focused, dexterity focused? What do I want to make my character? And it's that fun character creation aspect of RPGing that I spent a whole evening doing.
Good deal.
Yeah. And then, other than that, like that's the only game I played. I've been reading a lot and like making little metal models that I had collected over time that are really cool. And I kind of wanted to use this vacation time that I have to get through some of those other things that I've been amassing instead of games.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got a whole backlog of comics and books and other things. And it's like, okay, I should do some of these. I should, get through the backlog of other stuff.
Don't you also have like a super big backlog of games too, though?
Less.
Okay.
And a lot of them are like, yeah, I'll get around to it. Like they're not immediate focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing, the book I started reading is called Gideon the Ninth, which is kind of game-like in that it's a lot of exploring. It feels like an open world in that it's a lot about exploring this haunted castle. And there's a whole system of like keys and doors that are locked, and the characters have to
You really
find their
need
way
to pick up
through.
lit RPG. I'm gonna make you, but I'm gonna make you.
I don't want to because Gideon the Ninth, like it feels like it's kind of structured like this open world, but then at its core, it's this Agatha Christie murder mystery that takes place with necromancers in a haunted space castle. As they're trying to, figure out these trials to ascend to godhood.
I'm gonna make you read one.
It's
just so that you can tell me that you definitively don't like it.
It's a very interesting world, and it's interesting. It's interesting because for as gaming as the structure can feel at times, I know that, all these characters are dealing with genuine life and death circumstances, which the moment you throw lit RPG into it and you make them actually playing in the game, then all of a sudden the life and death circumstances like go away.
I think you're making assumptions.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's plenty of things that are like even ASO, which is Sword Art, or SAO, Sword Art Online, which if you die in the game, you die in real life.
Okay, and maybe I will say Sword Art Online is what broke my interest in this entire genre, because the first season of that, where they're stuck in a fantasy world and it's actually like, oh, you die in the game, you die in real life, it was a very good season. The second season, where it was just him playing a fantasy game, is like one of the worst seasons of any anime show I've ever seen. It was fucking terrible. And at that point, I was just like, man, this show sucks. And I haven't watched any of it again, even though I know the other seasons are potentially kind of an interesting, like, first-person shooter murder mystery. But it's just like, I saw that second season and thought, boy, this genre sucks.
Okay, then that's a bad example.
That was a bad example then.
Okay, because there's a show called The Rising of a Shield Hero. Another anime. It's a good one. But essentially, he gets summoned into another world, and there are game aspects like a HUD. He can learn skills from enemies, stuff like that. But there is an implication that if he dies for real. There are still all of these game mechanics that he works around, but there isn't that sense that it is just a game. And I'm sure there's plenty of lit RPGs like that as well. Oh no! Oh, that's the worst scene, Edie. No, like not inappropriate, but just it's terrible.
Why? All these people are disgusting rich.
It's the trailer. It's a preview.
Okay, my bad. I'm a little bit of anime tangent here. In the show, there are these 4 heroes that are just supposed to stop these waves of enemies that come. Like, it's kind of not really specified how long, but you get like a day notice before this horde of enemies showed up. And so these 4 heroes who are summoned are meant to fight them. And they're like godlike strong for the most part. It's not like super overpowered, but overpowered for most of the characters in the show. Well, the shield hero is one that is just particularly shat on by society. Like, they hate him. There's a whole religion that hates him. And each hero is supposed to know about the world, but he doesn't. And he doesn't understand that the people don't like him. He doesn't understand while they're all like super hyped about the other three, why he's getting treated kind of poorly. And one of the characters in the show is like, I'll be on your team, because they have a bunch of mercenaries that they can choose from that choose them. And she ends up like completely betraying him and making society hate him and kind of separating him from everything. And it's bad. And that was the scene, was him basically getting betrayed.
Okay.
There in the show, she basically accuses him of sexual assault, and like in front of an entire court, and she's the princess of the kingdom, and so
Are you ranking stuff for me? Because I am going to watch this.
Oh, okay. No.
No.
The answer is no.
This is the first
12. 12 plus 17. So
this is the first episode, and if you watch this, I will watch this with you.
Even in the chat, AC Wraith recommended. He said it's one of his favorite shows.
It is so good.
Okay.
I'll die for Raftalia.
I'll watch that too. And you reminded me, speaking of anime, I have not seen an anime, but I watched a show that is the singularly most anime live action thing I've ever seen. Outside of maybe like the Speed Racer movie. Okay. It's the HBO Max series Raised by Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And this, it feels very anime because it's sci-fi in the way that they constantly throw really wild images at you that I imagine took a lot of effort to create in real life, but that, is so easy to draw. It's the kind of like batshit crazy sci-fi that you see a lot in anime because it's so easy to make there, and it's so hard to make in live action. But it's basically about these androids trying to raise kids on another planet before humans get there, because the planet they come from was basically destroyed by a religious war. And so the androids were basically programmed by atheists to raise these kids in a non-religious way. But then the religious people come, and it's kind of about this conflict between these atheistic androids and these religious, refugees, and like this philosophical war between them. But like there's flashbacks to the war, and it's interesting because like the people have on weird soldier costumes that is reminiscent of like 70s sci-fi, when it's not practical. They got these kind of like cone helmets that are not practical, but it's like, hey, remember how Zardoz, Sean Connery had like completely impractical bandolier and Speedo, but you know what? Right. Like that's what the sci-fi did back then. Is it wasn't necessarily practical. It was just imaginative, and I feel like there's a lot of that in this show. And there's something about the intro song that it seemed really anime in that it's these like a lot of fancy stylized images of like apocalypse and nuclear bombs going off, but it's set to this like real slow, long, just like a calming, almost hymn-like song. And there's something about that I thought was really anime in the way that the Evangelion ripoffs were. Like, I know there's a Ra Zephon was one. There's like Fafnir in the something wasn't one other one. Or there's this old anime that I always thought was weird called Technolize. And it reminded me specifically of like those anime shows. The really like low-key, high-concept, kind of pretentious sci-fi anime. And I'm like, oh, this is totally one of those.
Yeah, I have to start watching it. So, shall we move on into news? Because we do have quite a bit of it. I know you guys don't have any, but I got a lot of it.
Yeah, I haven't played anything else.
All right. So, let's wait for it. Move my stuff around. Let's hit. Too many buttons, too many things to do. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie, Nick DiNicola, and Andrew Smith. And our first item is
I'll go first because I did remember a story that I saw and thought it was worth mentioning. So, I do have something, Edie. It is about there was a part in the stimulus bill about making
Yes.
streaming illegal.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
like illegal repercussions to copyright streaming. And a lot of people immediately thought of like Twitch and various like YouTube streaming like that. But from looking at it, I think the attention is more for copyright sites that stream like movies and such for free. That's what they were aiming at, but
it's a
wasn't-
wide net, and it's going to catch everybody who does streaming. I mean, arguably, and I have no idea why this is involved with the COVID stimulus bill. I mean, I do know how it got there. It got there by horse trading, with different, like having to put extra add-ons to get particular senators to agree to pass it. But in the middle of a pandemic, this is not a time to be horse trading.
but
Sorry,
I mean,
it's not.
there's always a time for horse trading for people in politics.
There's always a time for horse trading people in politics. There is sometimes a time as an American that you need to put that bullshit aside and pass stimulus and pass things because people are going hungry and they're dying. And this is not the time to worry about copyright of, people streaming copyrighted material. It's just not.
And yeah,
And it is
I agree. Just so it's
morally
clear.
repugnant that they did that. It's a morally Republican. I don't care what it is. It is morally repugnant to worry about bullshit like that during a pandemic where people are dying and where people are shut inside, when businesses are collapsing and people don't have enough money to buy food to eat. This is the definition of fiddling while fucking Rome is burning.
I absolutely agree. I think almost everyone agrees, and they're really seeing it for the first time. But this stuff has happened in like every single bill before this. It is.
Yeah, I don't even really know why I called it a stimulus bill. It's not a stimulus bill; it's a recovery bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd seen over the course of the week that a lot of people were worried it was going to affect Twitch and like other streaming platforms for games, but I don't think that's the case. I get to see the actual wording because from my understanding, it was like drafted a few days before it was supposed to be voted on. So to make it through that entire thing, we have time now because it didn't get passed, but I'm not sure how broad of a net that it casts on stuff like streaming. Like,
like the text of the bill is out there and you can read it, and there's a link in a Verge article that has it, but I don't want to read the text now. But what I do know is that no matter what the text says, that assumes that everyone using this law, to go against piracy sites is acting in good faith, which we've seen in the past is absolutely not true. And all it will take is one bad actor who's like, I want to use this to shut someone down that I don't like. And all of a sudden, whether they win or lose, that will become a new precedent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the concept of don't be evil. We allowed Google a lot of freedom under the auspices that the people that were running Google at the time were doing good things. But that only held as long as those people were in power. And that's why you have to be very careful about putting very broad law into based on circumstances or situations, because whatever you put into law has long-lasting effects. Whatever new powers that you give to different branches of the government and new abilities has to be seen in a framework of, if somebody evil was in the position to be able to use this, what could they do? Because ultimately, as we have found, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the court system, there is a thing as context. Like, a lot of people will say that, like, oh, it needs to be exactly precise. But, I mean, in the courts, like, the context and its purpose, as long as it's, like, not vague or, like, too old, is important. So, I mean, if the context for this is pirate sites and someone tries to take this to court, there's solid odds that, like for a streamer, that they'll be turned down. They'll be shot down for like trying to use it in a way that it's not meant to. So
Maybe.
that's
Yeah, but it will
ideally
take that streamer to be able to have the wherewithal to fight it.
yeah.
I mean,
That's
that's
true.
a lot of finance. That's all. Just having a lawsuit filed against you costs you several $1,000s to get an attorney. And if you actually want to fight it, you are looking at anywhere between tens of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. The fact that how the lawsuit progresses is not just about whether or not you have merits, but whether or not you can afford to fight it.
Yeah,
And I'll
that's a big thing.
recommend. This isn't related to this bill specifically, but there's 2 YouTube videos by someone named Lindsay Ellis, who's a really good culture critic in her own right. But one of the things that she wrote about was this lawsuit around these. It's not fan fiction. It's like this erotic writing subgenre where basically one woman like tried to copyright what seems like the entire genre, and it's clearly someone bringing like bad faith lawsuits. The Omegaverse, yes, thank you, AC Wraith. Like bad faith lawsuits in order to shut down anyone that she is perceived to slight her in any even minor way. But the thing is, throughout the Lindsay Ellis explaining this like years-long situation, it's always that, well, the people that she's suing, they had the better case, but they had to drop the lawsuits for various reasons, like financial reasons. And so it's like the lady bringing the suits didn't win. She like won by default, but that still gives her this sense of like, oh, see, this case, it didn't work against me. That means I have a higher standing. It's like, no, it's just the other people ran out of money first.
Right.
There's
and then there's a nice follow-up video where that lady then tried to sue Lindsay Ellis because she dared make this video, and thankfully Ellis has the backing of like a larger YouTube and Patreon group that's like, okay, no, we can actually fight this. And so it's an example of her always suing small people and winning, and now picking a fight with someone who can actually defend themselves. Maybe it will turn out differently, but like, yeah, I could easily see someone suing a Twitch streamer and being like, well, this is just a little no-name Twitch streamer. They can't actually defend themselves. So they'll just stop streaming.
Well, it's not going to be individuals that file. If it's in the law, it's not going to be individual. Well, it's going to be copyright people. Absolutely.
It could be individual, depending on what's being streamed.
Right. Depending on what's being streamed.
If it's an indie game, it could absolutely be an individual.
Right. And keep in mind that it's copyright of any kind. So, you know, me showing Ridley Scott's own trailer for this from IGN that was posted to IGN. Now, in theory, I have opened myself up to 2 massive lawsuits that I would have to settle. And as someone who has been sued for a well-intentioned law that wasn't meant to be used by someone who was a lawyer who was taking advantage of the situation, who was just sending out blanket lawsuits, just blanketing entire areas, geographic areas with lawsuits, knowing that these businesses will settle because it doesn't make any sense to fight it. And that's how he made his money. He literally made $30-40 million a year just filing lawsuits against businesses, and put many businesses out of business because they couldn't make the fixes. You know, they couldn't do the things to keep themselves out of court. So they just shut down and closed the business. And this guy did this for 20 years and no one could stop him. But it was a law that was intended for really good things, to do the right things. And it was perverted by someone to do the wrong things.
I think what you're probably going to look at is this comes to the same question of like, we've had this conversation before of like developers who think, oh, I should be paid because they're showing my content. They're showing our games. It getting wrapped up into that. A developer looking at somebody who's playing a game and they're just bad-mouthing it because it's full of bugs, it's not that good, whatever, and they're being like, I'm going to sue this person. I'm going to sue this high-end streamer or like any streamer who's bad-mouthing my game to get them to stop.
No, not to get them to stop, to get them to settle.
Well, yeah. Well, just,
Settle
trying to punish
Get
them.
them to write me a check.
To punish them, in a sense, is all. Like,
Not really punishment. No, that's what I'm saying, is that this could be used by
it
a
could
small
be used-
streamer against a big streamer, that anytime you show something that you show one of my pictures, you show a picture that I made in Assassin's Creed, or any kind of gameplay, I could, in theory, sue you and force you into court to settle with me.
It can
has
use
to
for
be
financial means, but I think it's. I agree with Andrew. I think it's more likely you would see it used like in an aggressive punishment means.
An aggressive punishment, especially for independent reviewers talking about games and in a way that the publisher didn't like or the developer didn't like. And I mean, it goes into that whole fair use thing.
Part of this is
you have to have the money to be able to argue the fair use.
Yeah.
Part of this is moot because, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen like the wording of the bill specifically. Yeah.
It should have never even been in there. It should have never been in there on a moral level, on a just a purely, are you a fucking human being level? Shouldn't have even been in there. Nothing should be in there except COVID relief, and the other half of the COVID relief bill is the stuff to keep the country open, because the country is about to shut down in the middle of a pandemic when we're supposed to be sending out vaccines through Department of Defense to all the states so we can get our people vaccinated so people will stop dying. But
yes, that was important news, I guess.
It was very important news. All right. So my first item, you may or may not have seen it, but let me pull up where the fuck am I news? All right. So back in June, there was a tweet made by an account on Twitter called KFC Gaming that said it was creating a 4K 120 FPS capable video game console that also had a chicken warmer in it. And we laughed our asses off. Well, KFC Gaming has announced again that this is coming and actually provided specs on this thing. And let me pull up the website. It looks like it might very well be a real console. Why do I say that? Because it is called the KFC console. It is a gaming rig that's going to be housed in a customed Cooler Master. So that's the name of the company who's doing it, Cooler Master, CN100, and it is going to be powered apparently by an Intel NUC9. Also, it's going to feature an Asus RTX graphics card and 1 terabyte of Seagate SSD memory.
It's just a computer underneath a
warmer.
Which I feel like that presents so many issues for cooling the computer parts.
And all of them awesome.
Which might be why this is from a cooling company. Like, this is a stunt to be like, hey, this is how good our cooling is.
Our cooling is so good that you can heat chicken with it.
Yeah. No. You can keep your computer cool while cooking or heating chicken on top of it.
Yeah. Now, you're not cooking the chicken. It doesn't actually cook the chicken. It just keeps your chicken warm, which makes sense because there is an awful lot of heat output on these things. And you could ostensibly put a basket, a chicken basket over the top of your Xbox and, keep chicken warm there.
Okay, so you're not cooking the chicken here.
You're just keeping the chicken warm. Chicken warmer. Okay.
That's very different.
It's
I guess that's still like, oh man, I just finished that Call of Duty match. I really need a piece of that KFC. Let me pop open my console.
Yep, it's promising up to 240 FPS.
What if it took you had to put chicken inside of it, like to make it
ready to stick your VR in? It looks very, very real, and I want one. I absolutely
I hope
want
they
one.
do put it out for sale just as a stunt, just to exist. Like, it's a cool, dumb thing. I
Yeah,
approve.
it is absolutely a cool dumb thing, and I'm all about it. So yeah, it's actually real. AC Wraith does point out an important thing, though. Having a chicken cooler that is a gaming console means that you are going to get greasy fingers on your controllers.
Well, then don't
I
be
mean,
a heathen and
I hate having grease on my controllers. I
don't go
really do.
directly from the chicken to the controller. You wipe it off. Get like a towel. Get a wet nap. Like,
kib.
be a fucking adult. You're not a little kid. I'm gonna slather. I'm gonna wash my hands in French fries and then touch a controller. Like,
Oh,
no.
And I'm not gonna lie, with Blood Reaper, it does look cool. It is a cool looking console. Not gonna lie.
I have noticed, and I think this is purposeful, that it really looks like the KFC bucket of 20 chicken
Yep.
pieces.
It does look like
That's
it's a
intended.
bucket of chicken,
it's intended.
and it's got a chicken. They even called it the chicken chamber. It's called the chicken chamber.
Well,
And
now
it's
the pressure.
patented. It's patented. It says it right there. Patented. Let me speak. There we go. Patented chicken chamber.
Listen, as a fat guy, that does not look like enough chicken to satisfy me while I'm gaming. That is my first and only
It's-
critique of this system so far.
I agree. And I feel like it's for emergency chicken, right? It's not a
Yeah.
meal. It's when you need the chicken.
Emergency chicken.
So
mean,
now
like-
the pressure's on Microsoft and Sony. Like, are they going to follow up with this?
This
I
is the
Are we going to have an add-on chicken chamber like the Xbox One? Oh no, the Xbox 360 had the add-on HD DVD drive.
I am all about that. I am absolutely all about that. Yeah, that would be good. I wouldn't mind a chicken chamber, like an add-on chicken chamber on the top of the tower.
Yeah. It's going to be tough because like those consoles are already so big. Where are you going to put the chicken chamber?
you mentioned that PS4, PS5 like wing manufacturer. They make a chicken wing like PS5
An actual
attachment.
chicken wing as a blade.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, you started to hit on it. Might as well hit the next one. So if you remember, a little while ago, there was a company that was going to. Did I not? I didn't write it down. I can't believe it. So there was a company that was going to sell blades for your PS5. And Sony shut them down instantly. It was a company called CustomizeMyPlates.com. Small company. They said, hey, we're going to do custom plates that you can buy to replace on your new PS5, because once we saw the breakdown videos, we knew that you could easily remove those plates. I mean, I don't even think that they need a screwdriver even to take those off. You just pop them off. And Sony shut them down. Well, the new news is that D-Brand. Are you familiar with D-Brand? Oop. Just lost Andrew.
Oh. I've not heard of D-Brand.
So D-Brand is they make skins and cases and other plastic hat that you need in electronics. They are not an unknown brand. They are a real thing. They made an announcement that they would be they made this announcement on Reddit, and I'm trying to pull it up quickly here. They made the announcement on Reddit that they would start making these PlayStation 5 faceplates. And they didn't just make the announcement saying they're making nameplates. You can see it. It says, as the title of this post suggests, we are now global leaders in PlayStation 5 faceplates. And I will highlight it here. Sue us, Sony. They're pretty much challenging Sony to sue them for this. The project, they say, has been in the works since just before we told you not to buy PlayStation 5 skins. Spoiler alert, this is why we told you not to buy PlayStation 5 skins. So yeah, pretty much they are flat out challenging them to sue them for making these plates. We'll see how well it works, but
Because Sony has shown like they will.
oh, they will. Right.
So-
So and clearly they know that lawsuit is coming and are prepared for it, but they are actually a going company that makes more than just plates, these blades, that actually makes other items. So they have money behind them. I mean, they're a real company. If you look up dbrand.com, I can pull it up here. If you look up dbrand.com, you will see that they are a company that makes skins and cases and screen protectors. They're a real company. And they are now actually also have the faceplates.
I mean, cool. Like, it seems like something that should be easily customizable. Like, if they really pop off, I haven't tried it, but when they showed that breakdown video, the teardown video, it seemed really easy to pop them off, and so that seems like a naturally customizable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with considering how much some people have complained about, the bright white color, just being able to replace it with black fins, I think a lot of people would be happy for that.
I'm not okay with the black fins. This does not appeal to me.
It's straight up just Sony wanting that. They want to sell these fins at a premium. They want to be the only people who can make these, but I think it's a hard sell to. They're just 3D printed or like molded.
Yeah, no, they're injection
plastic
molded.
flaps. They're not going to. I can't imagine Sony winning that, because it's just a generic design. It's not special, really. It's kind of like trying to sue somebody who makes a faceplate for a controller.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. I don't think it can happen. We'll see, though.
Yeah. All right. So, anybody else have an item?
In the chat, AC Wraith mentioned Miles Morales faceplates, and I googled it, and they do look really cool. Like, it's the full-on, spider in the middle. It looks like the middle of Spider-Man's suit on the faceplate, and that's just a cool example of how you could easily make, game-specific plates, and just easily replace them, for every game you play. It's neat. I have one. So sticking with PlayStation,
this is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'd freaking on that. Absolutely.
The PlayStation UI has been roundly and rightly criticized for being kind of obtuse. One of the things that they have updated recently to make it a little better is that now, if you have a PlayStation 5 and you are about to play a PlayStation 4 version of a game, the console will give you a pop-up that basically says, hey, we see you're on a PlayStation 5 and you're going to play the PlayStation 4 version of the game. Do you want to do this? And you can actually choose, yes, continue with the PS4 version, or no, download the PS5 version, which is nice because I have heard several people complain that they were playing the PS4 version of a game on the PS5 without realizing it, because the PS4 version is just what got automatically downloaded. So this is a nice, important, user-friendly addition, and it's about time that they came out with it. So it's nice to see even little things like this being changed about the PlayStation UI, because there are bigger structural issues with that UI, and at least this suggests that Sony is in the process of improving it. Yeah.
They haven't just walked away saying, well, if you don't like it, it's your own fault, which would suck.
Oh, and randomly, in the continuing update of my next generation console saga,
okay,
I've sent back the Xbox console, and in more evidence of the PlayStation support being way better than the Microsoft support. With the PlayStation support, when they received their console, they emailed me. I got an email at like 10 in the morning that said, "Hey, we got your console, FYI." And then hours later, I got an email saying, "Hey, we've done our thing. We're sending it back." With Microsoft, when I track the UPS, the UPS tracking number, I can see on their site it got delivered. When I go to the Microsoft website and go to their service center support,
Yes.
it still says in transit. But it also has a little notice that says, "Oh, this page might not actually update if we get it at the service center. So check back later." And so it just seems like this.
So much more of like, trust us. Just trust us. We
Yeah,
know
and
what
it's
we're
like,
doing. Just trust us. You don't need to ask any questions.
and it's like they have this timeline on the website of like, you ship the console, we receive the console, like it's in the service center, we've shipped it back, and then you've got like these steps. And then the middle step is like it's in the service center being repaired. That is a step in their timeline, but they have a note that says, "Hey, we might not actually update when it's on this step. We might just skip it." It's like, well, then why the fuck would you even put it there? Like, why set up a situation where you look bad? Well, I know the console has been delivered. UPS says it's been delivered. I can see a motherfucker who signed for it. And yet the Microsoft website is like, "Yeah, fuck, I don't know."
We're busy.
So,
So
It's
yeah.
have
Christmas.
you got your Xbox back?
No, they've still got it, and they're doing something on it. Which again, Sony seemed to like take it and send me a new one within literal hours. Microsoft has had it for a couple days. Although in their defense, they received it like around Christmas time. So
I was going to say, they've had it a couple days, that would be like Christmas Eve.
It's been over Christmas, so I'm not holding it against them
Right.
too much. But it's like there are larger issues with their help and support center, and even then, I feel like they're much slower with their help. So yeah, I hope your Xbox doesn't break because Microsoft will take way longer to fix it or replace it than Sony will.
Right. All right. So next item, anybody?
CD Projekt Red is officially been sued.
Everything I have is all different aspects of Cyberpunk. The different
Wow,
stories about
that
Cyberpunk, but
thing
it's all
is
about
dominating.
Cyberpunk.
It's just dominating the news cycle for now, what, 3, 4, pretty much since before it released. And then it just got worse. Just insane. Well, go ahead, hit it.
Just as I said, it looks like the investors, rightfully, like we talked about last week, are implying that they committed fraud, that they lied about the state of the game during investor meetings and any information that they released, and that because of that lying, that when the stock took a hit, that it was fraud. Like, they knew this was going to happen. They knew when they were approaching investors that they did not have a playable game, or at least damn near unplayable. So they're getting sued for it, and rightfully so. And a part of me, like I mentioned this last week, that I don't think it's the developers of CD Projekt Red, the people who make the games. And judging by the fact that, because those people don't go to investor meetings, the developers don't go to those. The high-end upper management who run the business do. And if those people were lying to investors, I think that is where this started. Like, they wanted to impart confidence that they didn't have in their game, and they wanted to make money off of it. And that's what this entire thing is. Like, the fact that it got released early, it got released now, was essentially just for a quick money grab for all of the love that the company had garnered from its fans, from its support. And I think this kind of proves that. That's all.
Yeah. So according to the lawsuit, they're suing for quote unquote misleading investors. The lawsuit comes from the Rosen law firm, which is a global investor rights law firm. and they're, quote, seeking to recover damages for CD Projekt investors under the federal securities laws, unquote. Now, according to Rosen, CD Projekt Red made misleading statements and false statements about Cyberpunk 2077, as we know. And this comes directly from the complaint. It says, according to the lawsuit, defendants throughout the class period made false or misleading statements or failed to disclose that, one, Cyberpunk 2077 was virtually unplayable on current generation Xbox or PlayStation systems due to an enormous number of bugs. Two, as a result, Sony would remove Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store, and Sony and Microsoft and CD Projekt would be forced to offer full refunds for the game. And three, consequently, CD Projekt would suffer reputational and pecuniary harm. And four, as a result, defendant statements about its business operations and prospects were materially false and misleading and or lacked a reasonable basis at all relevant times. When the true details entered the market, the lawsuits claims that investors suffered damages. That is from their press release about it. So yeah, CD Projekt Red hasn't responded yet to the lawsuit, but I'm sure that this is the first of many lawsuits. And it's kind of an interesting thing because at the same time as this lawsuit is coming out, their stock has been downgraded by numerous analysts because they did not hit their sales figures. Their sales figures, CD Projekt Red,
I have is the sales figures.
Yeah. And the estimates, if they didn't meet their estimates, that says something. And this is something that you brought up, I think, years ago with Final Fantasy, is that when investors expect to sell just these ungodly numbers, and then a game company fails to hit those ungodly numbers by a couple million, which when you're talking about, well, let's hit it. CDPR told investors that it has taking into account all of the refunds. They sold 15 million copies in 10 days.
Okay, the thing
that is subtracting out. That's subtracting out the returns.
Yeah, the story I saw was 13 million.
Yeah,
but that's still, even if it's 13 or 15, that's still like one of the best-selling games of the entire year, and that to consider that that's counting. Okay, like that's counting returns. Even with all the returns that people have done over the past 10 days, it has still become one of the best-selling games of the year, and that's mind-boggling. Like after everything we've talked about, like it's still that. I don't know exactly how much Last of Us 2 sold. But like I want to know like what's the best-selling game of 2020?
Oh, Cyberpunk. No question. Cyberpunk broke all kinds of records. And still, but it wasn't enough. And that's one of the reasons why their stock is dropping, and it is one of the reasons. And here's the other thing. According to articles from Jason Schreier, CD Projekt Red, obviously Cyberpunk 2077 was estimated that it was going to sell upwards of 16 million copies before the end of the year. Okay. They sold 13 million copies, even subtracting out all of the returns by December 22nd, or at least that was the numbers that CD Projekt Red released on December 22nd. They'd have to sell another 3 million plus between the 22nd and the end of the year. Probably not going to do it. But analysts estimate that the number of returns that were made was about 3 million, which means that they would have hit their number were it not for the returns being done by Sony. So even with that cutting off all of the sales on Sony, well, even with the cutting off of the sales on Sony, it's the return started with Sony and then went through the entire, ecosystem. It started with Sony. It started with CD Projekt. Yes, started with CD Projekt Red kind of saying, hey, if you got a problem with this, go talk to Sony. And Sony going, okay, we'll refund it, but we're also taking you off the store.
Well, I thought they said like go talk
cascade.
to anybody, like Microsoft, Best Buy. Like it was like go talk to the person you bought it from.
Right, but that started the cascade, the real cascade, because it was only after that when they said we're offering refunds, that's when Xbox said we're offering refunds, and then right after that, Best Buy said we're offering refunds. So it kind of became a huge shit show, but that shit show started with Sony getting pissed off that, oh God, look at that. Oh my God.
These are hard to watch because they're so distracting, but they are hilarious.
Yes, they are hilarious.
So I was looking up some sales numbers, and I know that Ghost of Tsushima was the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive ever for PS4. And I know that in November, by November 13th, that game had sold 5 million copies since its debut in July. So from July, August, September, October,
Cyberpunk had
4 months.
pre-order sales of 8 million.
So yeah, so let's say in 4 months, Tsushima sold 5 million on one console to become like their fastest selling, most successful game of the PlayStation 4 era. Cyberpunk, like if we assume similar numbers for Xbox, like 10 million, but just the fact that Cyberpunk sold 13 in 10 days with refunds, like that says a lot about how anticipated this game was.
Right. And that was something I wanted to bring up, and how I kind of teased it to Chaos before we started the show, to Andrew. Think about this. If this had been any other game other than Cyberpunk 2077, this game would not be at the sales numbers that they are. Any game that had released this bad and this buggy. It really speaks to how much this game was hyped. It is a reflection of the hype, because without the hype, this game launch would have failed miserably. And even though investors are unhappy that they didn't sell 16 million by the end of the year, between the 12th and the 31st, I think it's pretty damn impressive that they did sell 13 million, which is an unbelievably large amount, objectively a large amount. And you might argue that if you can sell 13 million copies of a horrifically broken game, with people absolutely now completely aware that whatever DLC they get is going to be, or planning to get, is going to be severely delayed, because they're not going to see any because they're so busy fixing the game.
I mean, at least on the brighter side,
you can hype your game so much that it can be this broken and still sell 16 million copies in less than 10 days.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it shows the level
arguable
of goodwill
that this is not the last time we will see this.
Wait, it shows the level of goodwill people had after Witcher 3, the level of, hype going into this one. Like, it was kind of a perfect storm of anticipation. Like, there was a lot of excitement for this game for very valid reasons. So it's not surprising that it sold as well as it. It's not surprising that it sold a lot, but it's surprising that it still sold as well as it did, even after like the really disastrous reception.
Right. So it makes an argument. What's more important, hype or quality? Because there's been a lot of quality games out there. A lot of really good quality games out there. They didn't have the hype of this and did not sell 13 million copies.
And I also remember,
but this is a game that is not even a game. It is so horrifically broken. It does not count to me as a game, and yet still 13 million copies. I think that this may very well, mark my word, change the way that gaming happens now. That game companies will be looking at this and going, I can ship a broken game and still sell that much.
They already do that.
There,
That's
yeah,
been
but
that's been a trend for the past several years already.
never at this scale. Never
But
at this scale.
I also do think one of the reasons that it's still sold this much, refunds included, is because people expect the game to be fixed, so they're not refunding it, right? Like
Right.
people who have bought it and are like, bought it for the last generation consoles and are like, okay, this is broken, but you know what? I already paid for it. I'm going to just hang on to my copy and wait for it to get fixed and then play it next year. And so I think there's an assumption there. If this came from a developer other than CD Projekt Red, who doesn't have that level of goodwill, I do think there would be more returns. If people were like, oh,
Yeah.
this Call of Duty is super broken, well, I'm just going to refund it and buy the new one next year, right? I imagine you would get more returns in that situation. I think the surprisingly low level of returns is indicative of people sort of trusting the process and are like, yeah, well, I'll wait for it to get fixed.
We're kind of there now anyways. But also the game itself still functions like everyone who's played it, who's mentioned the bugs, has said that the framework is there. That it is
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's objectively a really good game. It's just the bugs are the problem.
So like the groundwork's there to kind of be like, okay, I can wait for this. Like I still want to wait for this.
Yeah.
But until we get to a point, go ahead.
And in like if you're playing it on a next gen console or PC, it seems like the bugs are lessened to the degree that like who in the chat was saying like he was playing it with a GeForce Now on a PC and really enjoying it.
Somebody was saying that.
Blood Reaper? Who said that in the chat? I forget. I'm trying to scroll.
Yeah, somebody in the chat did say that they're playing it and really enjoying it, but they're planning to play it on a really high-end PC.
Yeah. So yeah, a Blood Reaper. Blood Reaper was. So, you know, it is possible to enjoy the game. It's just that the platforms that have the most install base are the ones that were the most broken. And
yes, Witcher 3 was broken. Not broken this bad.
It wasn't. It wasn't
not by a long shot.
It wasn't broken. Broken implies like something really disastrous about it. It was not broken. It's just people. There was ways that the character controlled that people didn't like. The way the movement felt that they didn't like. And the inventory was kind of messy and unreliable. Like it was hard to find a slip of paper that you need to give to someone in the inventory. And it's little usability things like that. It wasn't broken. It's just like, oh, I don't like the way the character moves.
Yeah, and eventually it was a little bit glitchy, but that's, to be expected.
They patched that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, broken implies, I think, something way more disastrous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, CD Projekt. And what was it? I know someone mentioned Cyberpunk and the adult film industry, and what I could find is that it already has a porn parody.
Oh,
so
that was probably being filmed.
It was Bitters as playing it.
But I thought Blood Reaper specifically said.
Bitters Plus said, I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077 on GeForce now and laughing at all the peasants as I enjoy this masterpiece.
Blood Reaper said he's playing it on PS4 and had only a few bugs, had little bugs.
Really? That is impressive. That's a good one.
So, okay. Thank you.
All right. So anyway, I'm sure this is not going to be the last that we're going to talk about this game. By the way, I do want to mention, if you are playing it on PC right now, not on console, but on PC, their new hotfix 1.06 fixes the save file corrupt thing that we talked about last week. So apparently they actually had CD Projekt Red had actually had an 8 megabyte size limit for the game saves. They actually put that in intentionally. So they have removed that size limit now because, of course, people crafting and hoarding stuff and collecting things and looting and not selling would easily make your save file go beyond 8 megabytes. So they have removed that 8 megabyte size limit for your game saves. That's the good news. The bad news is that if your save file was corrupted already previous to this, it can't be saved. It's gone. So sorry, it was corrupted and it's now no longer a thing. But you can start over now, and you can let your game saves go above 8 megs now.
Oh, good.
Something
And-
I'd like to see is a real article done, like with the Anthem article that came out, and I forget who
Mhm.
wrote that.
Jason Schreier.
Okay, I would love for him to do an expose on Cyberpunk.
I'm
where it's
sure
like,
it's coming. Like, they're usually delayed a couple months.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a postmortem on that. So yeah.
In
By the
the
way,
last,
this is I might as well hit this because I spent a little bit of a time on this. I did
is
some
it
math.
related to Cyberpunk?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because I have one more Cyberpunk news.
Okay. So this is my own math. Have no idea how accurate it is, but it is a good estimate. So in the CDPR investor pages, this was released on the 10th, when they announced that there were 8 million pre-orders. The breakdown of the game sales, the pre-orders were 59% PC and 41% consoles. Who knew at the time that that would be such an important number to know? 26% were physical copies, 75% were digital copies. So using the numbers and the magic of math, this is what I have estimated. We can pretty safely estimate that 3.28 million of the 8 million pre-orders were on consoles. And
Okay.
here's how I do it. 104, well, we know that there are, according to VG charts and all a bunch of other places, 114.6 million PlayStation 4s in the world right now. 3.74 million PS5s, 49.05 million Xbox Ones, and 2 million Xbox S or S's. So we know that's the numbers that we know, which means that there were 169.4 million consoles either in the last generation or this generation combined. 163 million of them, 163.7 of them are the last gen. That makes up 97% of this number. 5.74 million are PlayStation 5s or Xbox Series X/S's. That's 3%. All right. So only 3% of the current consoles that are Cyberpunk made for, they published for, 3% are the next gens, and 97% are the current gens. Now I'm going to be gracious and I'm going to double the amount of the next gen consoles. The current gen, like the PS5. I'm going to actually assume that that the PS5 sold more copies, simply because there's a lot of people who have PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones who aren't playing them, or they're gathering dust or whatever. I'm just going to essentially weight it slightly for the current gen consoles, because everybody that bought a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or S is playing it right now. There's no question. It's too new to not have it played. So I'm going to weight it a little bit there.
PlayStation 5 and I'm not playing Cyberpunk.
Right. That's going to be equal. That assumes that we've already accounted for that because we've doubled it. All right. That's just allowing not whether it's playing Cyberpunk, but whether that console is being played in general. There are a lot of PlayStation 4s that are not being used by their owners anymore because they don't really play and they haven't gotten rid of them yet.
And this is all based off of the 8 million pre-orders you said.
Right. So if you take the 97%, actually because I weighted it more for the next gens and slightly for the next gens. So that would be 94% of that 8 million would be for current gens. And I'm calling current gen being the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah.
and 6% being the next gen consoles, which would be the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S.
Makes sense. Like, not many
Right.
people have the next gen consoles.
3.14 million of the pre-orders were for either PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. And so that's how many people were the most affected by this. So of that 8 million, that assuming that it's the same distribution for the consoles in general, of that 8 million, 3 million of it should have been more or less, give or take, with a very large degree of distribution on that.
That's
3.14.
And that's just for the pre-orders. That's people that pre-order.
That's just the pre-orders. Right.
I assume that the people buying the game after its release,
more PC players. I would imagine that's where you can't use those blanket numbers, because there is that element of people who had consoles once it came out and they found out that the consoles, especially the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, was so bad that the PlayStation 4 owners probably who hadn't already purchased, probably went, I'm going to hold off until they get their shit sorted. And then there's players like me who have actually both. And, I'm going to not, in fact, I forgot to account for that.
Yeah.
I forgot to account for that.
Statistics are tough.
Yeah, no, I forgot to account for PlayStation. The next gen console owners probably have a last gen console. So you had to subtract that number out of it, because there are double console houses out there right now.
Yeah, I imagine
both are.
At this early adopter stage, I imagine most people that have a PS5 also likely had a PS4.
Had their PS4. I should have actually deducted that PS5 amount from the total PS4 price. But even so, it doesn't really change it. It only changes by 3 million out of 163 million. So it's not that much. So yeah, it's a significant amount of people, and these are my own numbers that I am by no means a statistical genius, but at least using the numbers that were given to us by CD Projekt Red to kind of make some educated guesses of how many people went and got themselves a refund. Now, the experts are saying that 3 million people asked for refunds. 3 million copies were refunded, I should say. That's what they're estimating. I don't really know where they would get that. I don't know if their numbers are any better than mine, but if you look at that number and then also this number, you begin to realize that there's a real significant amount of those pre-order people that just bailed on those.
Yeah, and it makes sense, because I imagine the people that pre-ordered were the people most excited. And if you pre-order it for one of the current gen consoles, you would be most affected by the bugs, and so you would be most disappointed.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that also Microsoft allowed that game to be sold, knowing that they were issuing refunds for anyone.
And they put up a notice that said, like, hey, this game is buggy, buy at your own risk.
Right, but it's not at your own risk if they're offering refunds.
True.
Unless they only offered refunds for people before they actually put the notice up.
I think they're still offering it, but I don't know.
They're still offering it, but are they offering it for people that bought it knowing that the bugs were there?
I think they would be.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be easy enough to tell. Just like, hey, what day did they buy this? Did we have our notice up?
Yeah.
If they did, then just know.
Yeah. Anyway, we've done this to death. Next item.
And so last Cyberpunk thing, last week, after, like, when we were talking about the whole refund debacle, we talked about how Sony changed their policies to give refunds. Microsoft changed their policies to give refunds. Best Buy changed their policies to refund physical copies that were open when they don't normally do that. And I explicitly mentioned that GameStop was not changing its policies to accept refunds. They have since changed that, and they are now accepting refunds as well. And they basically told their people to mark the discs as defective before sending it back to the GameStop warehouse. So we finally broke GameStop.
It's
They
the
will accept refunds
trifecta.
as well.
I guess that would be the quadfecta.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk making waves.
Changing the world.
Forcing companies to do
Not in the
stuff they've
way that
never
they
done.
anticipated. Well, they're right. They changed the way games were viewed in this world.
Hmm.
Frederick Jackson says, I knew that they made this game with I'm assuming with that in mind. In fact, when I saw the demo running at E3 2019, I noticed it was still running on a PC and it was still running kind of rough. And I said to myself, there's no way this will be ready for current consoles by April 2020, which was the original date.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot that was the original date.
Can you imagine if this had come out in April 2020? What state this game must have been in?
I'm
April.
willing to bet that at that point, the console versions were probably just as bad, but the PC version would have been worse.
Right. They probably just put all the effort into
Yeah,
the
I'll
PC
bet you
version.
this time frame had been used in making the PC version better. Because what you said about those pre-order numbers, the PC was the bulk of them. So that's probably where they put their focus.
Yeah, slightly more than 50%. But they anticipated that it was going to be more people, and I forgot what the numbers, the wording that they had in it, but they anticipated that it was mostly PC early on, and then they expected those numbers to find parity after release.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So my next item is so there is a new study that has come out of, I'm pulling it up, I'm looking for it. It's here somewhere. Did I get rid of it? God, sorry. I hate when I do dumb stuff. I set stuff up and then it goes away.
When you had the tab, you save the tab, and then you accidentally close the tab, and you're like, shit.
Right. Yeah, actually, it looks like I closed the application. Did I not? No, I've got the application. Why is it not showing up? Let me try this again. Application window. There we go. All right. There we go. That is what I wanted. So there is a new report, a new study that has come out of the Gambling Health Alliance that was reported by the Royal Society of Public Health over in the UK. And it has, they did a survey of children, age 12 to 24 years old, or 11 to 24 years old, about loot boxes, and it found some really disturbing things. Nearly 1 in 4, which is 23%, 11 to 16-year-old gamers said that they had paid money to open loot boxes. 1/3 said they struggled to keep track of how much they'd spent on them. 1/3 said they did not feel in control of their own spending on loot boxes. 1 in 4 gamers spent over £100 on loot boxes over the course of a game. And here's where it gets kind of scary. 15% had taken money from their parents without permission. 1 in 10 had borrowed money that they couldn't repay and gone into debt that they had no hope of repaying in order to buy loot boxes. And a quarter said that they felt addicted to loot boxes, and because of the feeling of being cheated or ripped off by loot boxes, over 1/3, 44%, I would say nearly half of them, said that they experienced feelings of frustration and anger more often than they would have otherwise. Most importantly is this was a survey that was gamers aged 13 to 24 that was done on October through November of 2020 to find out how much they spent on loot boxes. There were a couple of really scary stories. 3 of them. Here we go. 1 in 10, 13% of gamers had gotten themselves into debt because of spending on loot boxes. One gamer told us he'd resorted to crime in order to pay off his credit cards. 1 in 10, which is 11%, had either used their parents' credit card or debit card or borrowed money from a friend or family to buy loot boxes, and 15% had taken money from their parents without their permission. And this is the one that's kind of creepy. In the case of 3, not just 1, 3 of the gamers that they asked in this survey, which means that's kind of it's more than just one kid that resorted to a life of crime to pay for loot boxes. This is 3 on multiple occasions. They ended up spending so much on loot boxes that their families were forced to remortgage their homes in order to cover the costs. 3 times that happened in this survey. So yeah, this is pretty much this is going to be coming back at the UK government, or in the UK government, with I'd imagine as soon as the ink dries on 2020 and they go into Parliament on 2021, there is going to be loot box rules, because it is very much becoming clear that this is now, I mean, if there was any question, it's now officially gambling. Or at least this is another nail in the coffin for companies like EA, especially with FIFA, that to really point out that this is, even if they don't say it's gambling, it is the effects that it is having on the children that play it is pretty similar to what gambling does. It's like, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck, no matter what you call it. But yeah, crazy statistics out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought, I mean, it's close enough to gambling that if anything, like just getting kids involved is a problem, mostly.
Absolutely.
I'm very interested to see what the game industry's next thing is, because remember, going back to with Game Pass, going back to some like old 360 games, I remember, oh yeah, this was the era of online passes, where if you bought the game new, you had a code for content, extra content. But if you bought the game used, you wouldn't get that content. And that was the thing that a lot of companies were doing to get you to buy the game new. It was their crusade against used video games.
GameStop.
Not just, GameStop specifically, their crusade against GameStop. And that fell away over the years and was largely replaced with loot boxes. Now that loot boxes are like coming under all of this legal fire, I feel like season passes are kind of the new big thing. And those at least seem like they hit a middle ground that a lot of people accept, even if it's not great. I see people saying like, oh, this season pass is better than X season pass. One might be more grindy than the other, but at least it seems to have struck on this middle ground where people are willing to, give a couple extra bucks, 10 to 20 bucks to this game they've already bought.
Right.
But if loot boxes really go away, because they do make a lot of money, I'm curious what will be the next thing. Will we just see an evolution of season pass? Will there be a whole new system of mechanics thrown in there? Like, what will be the next sort of underhanded money-making scheme that EA or Activision come up with?
Somebody's just start charging more for games. I don't know.
True. Demon's Souls, $70. And Miles Morales is a $40 game, but it's $50. Like, Sony has said that their first-party games on PlayStation 5 will be $10 extra. And Godfall was $70. So I imagine after this initial wave of, last-gen, next-gen games come up, like the next Assassin's Creed on PlayStation 5 will probably be $70, even if it's still $60 on Xbox. That's my prediction, at least.
So anybody else got anything?
That's it for me.
So I have one more that I forgot to talk about, but it just hit me for some reason that I remembered it. So One of the nice things about Rocket League is that there is a very big community of map modders and map makers. Well, one of the more famous one, Lethamir, has developed an Among Us game in Rocket League. He has actually adapted Rocket League and
hilarious.
created an Among Us map in Rocket League. Let me see if I can get to it. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. There we go. So yeah, he has created a Rocket League map of Among Us where they can actually play Among Us in Rocket League.
Oh wow! So you're actually, you're not
Rocket
playing
League.
Rocket League in
You're
the
playing
Among
Rocket
Us
League.
map. You're playing Among Us with Rocket League cars.
I
This
think
because it
That's
looks like
actually-
he's doing
other
tasks.
way. I think it's the other way. I think that he's playing Rocket League, but he
Okay.
made a map.
So you're still
Oh.
trying to score goals? Like, are you trying to knock a ball
No,
all through this
I
map?
don't think so. I think just
No?
instant death with when you hit somebody when you're imposter
Okay,
or
okay.
something. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is really impressive. Hang on, I gotta go take care of a cat.
So do you want to play this now instantly? Chaos.
No.
It's gonna bring you back.
Not really, but like I can still appreciate the amount of work and how awesome this is. This is great.
Yeah.
Plus,
There we go.
this is on PC. Not that Rocket League's free now, but yeah.
Yep.
This is
So,
this is awesome.
So you can look that up on the YouTube channel for Lethamir, and that is Lethamyr. He is a Rocket League builder, a map builder. He's the one that invented Rocket League Tetherball and a bunch of other stuff.
Huh.
So yeah, that's his website for the Among Us. They created Among Us in Rocket League, so that is actually playing Rocket League. They just put Among Us into Rocket League.
Yeah, modders.
Modders are awesome.
Lethamir is known in that community for making insane maps. Like I've
Oh,
seen
yeah?
some of the stuff he does in game modes.
Yeah. He is no small guy. He's kind of one of the big hot shots of the mod community within Rocket League. Because he used to be a pro Rocket League player. I don't say pro. I guess he was pro, sort of. But then he realized that his bread and butter was just making these insane maps.
Yeah. But that's awesome. That's Among Us has been kind of a blow up cultural thing. Like I think it's a perfect mix of, it's fun, it's very social, and then like it fits into a 10-second video clip that you can throw up on like TikTok or like make a compilation on YouTube like really easily.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I also
It's the perfect game for the perfect time.
Yes,
Also, we all had a real deep fantasy when this got popular to murder one another. So that helps.
I do think a lot of it is the timing. Not when it came out, but the fact that, everyone is stuck at home, sheltering in place, and this game comes out that it encourages socialization in a really fun, clever way. And I think you saw a lot of games like that, like Phasmophobia, you'd mentioned, Andrew. That was another game that really kind of blew up on the PC side. And it's all these games that encourage socialization in interesting ways that I think really blew up this year. And Among Us just happened to not only be free for phones, which really helped it blow up, but also be like super cheap on PC. And so it's a very low bar of entry to get into.
Yeah, this guy is the same guy who also created Fall Guys in Rocket League.
Yeah, no, he has some crazy stuff.
What?
Lethamir does good work.
Wow.
Yes.
It's really, I need to go back to Fall Guys.
No, you don't. That's
Yeah, I do. Fall Guys was
They
awesome.
updated it.
horrible, frustrating game.
Yeah, it is.
And I've completely missed out on season 2, and so maybe I'll just skip it and play season 3. This is like a really good mod. Like the way you have to jump over some of the obstacles. That's really cool.
Yeah, this is actually amazing. I'm kind of like into it. I'm just watching it.
Yeah, I kind of sort of want to play this now.
No. Yeah, this is like it'd be a ton of fun. I wish they allowed mods like this on the consoles.
So yeah, again, it is Lethamyr, Lethamyr. You can look it up on YouTube. But yeah, it's pretty good. Or you can always go to the links that are in the comment section to find his pages and website, or the YouTube page. So yeah, anything else before we close out the show tonight, gentlemen? What are you gonna play this week?
Probably 7 Days to Die.
Yeah, probably am.
I had a friend.
Oh, go on.
Go ahead. Oh, I got my friend bought me for Christmas Dishonored 2. Because I've been wanting to play that. And then a game called Endless Space 2, which is a 4K like space simulation game. Like not simulation, but like strategy type.
It's like Civ.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try and finish up Assassin's Creed this week.
Okay, that's bold. I don't know how
I'm pretty far in.
Okay. I've heard that game is so long that the idea of I'm gonna beat it this week is like.
I'm pretty deep in. Well, like I'm gonna try.
Okay.
I can't guarantee I'll make it, but I'm gonna try and actually move the story along instead of navel gazing as I have been, picking up all this crazy stuff.
One boy during the Yule festival,
playing Orlog and
you have a bad day, Edie. You're like, man, I need to feel better about myself. Roll up to that.
I finally hit somebody in Orlog that I can't beat. She kicked my ass 3 times. And I had her down to 1 stone left, and I couldn't beat her.
Training montage. Start training montage. Back at the end of the season, like, we got this.
I will do that. All right, so
I actually got Miles Morales for Christmas, so I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, I still got it on my dining room table over there when I dropped it after I got my PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I really dug the last Spider-Man game, so
good.
I might like this. I'll give it a shot, maybe. I still got Ghost of Tsushima to play on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that's also a very good game.
Yes. I need to download that so we can all play the co-op.
Yeah. We do have to do that. All right, so with that being said, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 576. We did record this on Sunday, December 27th, 2020. Bye, 2020. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. See ya. If you ever want to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live on Sunday, every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. That's where you find our audio. But if you really want to go the extra mile and watch us on video, we are at 3 places doing this live. You can see us while it happens. We are on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, and on Twitch and Facebook, we are the GameHounds. We would love to have you here. Thank you, by the way, to everybody in the chat room, to AC Wraith, who is our link bitch, who provides all the links throughout the week or throughout the show. Everything that we even barely mentioned, he's got a link for it, whether it be a story or a game or an item or whatever, a book of anime, it's all there. So check it out. Also to Gamer Terrell, to what was it? There was somebody here that had a really nice long comment that I can't remember who it was. Corey Wallace, of course, Bitters. There was somebody on Facebook who had Frederick Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook. We'll be back next week with more news, more information, maybe stories of how I died to the zombies repeatedly in 7 Days to Die. But check
how we used her as bait.
Yes, I am. I'm fully aware that I'm probably going to be bait. Have a great weekend. Please, everyone, be very, very safe. Take this virus seriously, no matter what anybody tells you. It's not a joke and it will kill you. Please, please, please be careful. Be safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands, and please socially distance, no matter what anybody around you says. Distance yourself. It's the only way to ensure that you stay healthy long enough to get the vaccine. Have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And we're still on video, and we are out of audio. All right.
Okay.
I got nothing else to add after the show. I
Same.
mean, we kind of all
Actually,
did it.
I kind of have to dip out and get ready for something, so I have to head out. Just hanging out with a friend. Don't worry. It's also my nephew's birthday, so he's one.
Oh, Sebastian, wish him a happy birthday.
Actually, it's little Alec. Sebastian's like 6 now.
How old is Alec?
1. My sister had another baby.
Wow.
Oh, I did not even know that you had another nephew.
Yes, I actually have 3 nephews now and 1 niece.
Oh, wow.
Same sister?
No. 2 sisters.
She's been busy.
2 sisters.
Okay. All right. Have a great evening. Everybody take care. Maybe I'll see you later, Nick. I'm probably going to play some Assassin's Creed.
You guys, we should watch Shield Hero together because Shield Hero is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I would be down for that.
When?
But do you want to watch it? What are you guys doing Tuesday?
I do a show until 6:00 Pacific,
do
so
it.
that would be 8:00 your time.
That's fine. I don't have work Wednesday.
Okay. I have to work Thursday morning, but Thursday morning is New Year's Eve, so nobody's going to be calling. I mean, it's going to be another day where I literally just
I'm fine anytime. So
watch K-drama until, it's quitting time and then quit.
Good. Shield Hero is amazing, and I've been wanting to rewatch it anyways. So, do you guys prefer subbed or dubbed?
I would prefer dub just because that's me.
I do too. I'm so glad you said that because I know that's not a purist way, but I really do prefer it dubbed.
No, and you know why? Because dubs are good now. Like, we grew up in the 90s when dubs were universally laughable, but they've gotten to the point where they're good. Like,
some
it's
of it, yeah.
And actually, I think that the dubs in many ways are better than the subs because the subs, that they're not catching all of the nuance in meaning in the subs that can be caught in the dubs because reading is slower than speaking.
Okay, so I don't mind this, but just know that the more we talk about this, if people jump in and this is the last thing they say, they will burn the podcast to the ground and never come back. So I was just curious.
Bring it on!
Good.
Like, I will fight the sub-dub wars till my dying breath. Like,
Dub people need more enlistment, so
dubs are good now. Fight me, motherfucker.
I mean, there are some really good dubs. There are some really bad dubs too. Still, don't. It's not a universal. But the good dubs are good.
How would you watch it together?
Okay, so my typical way I do it when I watch stuff with friends is Discord. Essentially, we get into a server and I share my screen. We all just watch together.
Okay. That's
that's the best way I've seen to do it. Like, it's super easy, it's simple, and the quality is good enough that that it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I know Disney Plus has a group watch function where you can have everyone needs to be a subscriber, but you can have a host that's like, I'm going to play a video, and everyone else, it automatically starts for them. And so that's a way to kind of watch along with people. And I would like to see more streaming services have some sort of policy like that. But yeah, Discord sounds like it works really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So we'll do that Wednesday at 8:00 my time. Well, I mean,
Tuesday.
I get Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you?
Yeah, I think I'm good Tuesday. I'm fine. I'm done with my show at 6:15, and then 6:15, 6:30. I should be able to join us 6:20, 6:30.
Well, AC, Wraith, if you want to join for this, Send
Yeah,
send
join
somebody.
the GameHounds Discord.
You've certainly earned the spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone,
we're
come
an
to the
elite
GameHounds
few.
Discord. It'll be a massive group watch along.
uh,
All right.
So how do
I'm
you?
gonna go.
Where is it? What streaming service?
I'm looking that up now. I'm gonna try to find it.
Okay.
I like, if anything, I'll just get Funimation for a month, which will be easy enough. But
Okay.
I don't know if it's on like
Because I've
Hulu or
got
Netflix.
a couple of them.
So on Netflix.
I don't think it's on Netflix. That's my thing.
Yeah, it's not on Netflix.
Yeah, it's Crunchyroll or essentially
Okay.
Funimation. But since Crunchyroll's only subbed, I'll just get Funimation, which is $6 for 1 month, and we can watch it.
Okay.
Since you guys want to watch dub. No, I don't care that much. Dub works.
I think. Do I have an active Funimation? I think I got rid of my Funimation account.
When was the last time you have used it? I would hope so, Edie. Like, I am poor, so like the idea that you just have a $6 recurring subscription for
sometimes that happens. Like you cancel. Like I've got a subscription in Amazon Prime to one channel that I know it's there, and I'm like, so they're gonna have something good soon, because every time I've canceled it, they've had like, I get a notice that's like, oh, we now have this show, new episodes for this show, and it's like, motherfucker, I just canceled you because you didn't have anything. I didn't watch you for like 6 months. And then as soon as I cancel, then it's all of a sudden like, oh, we've got the new episodes of this show that you've been watching for the last 4 years. It's like, fuck. And you can't find it anywhere else. So you got to go back to them.
On a side note, you like Soul Eater, right, Edie?
I loved Soul Eater.
Have you seen Soul Eater, Nick?
It's really good. It is. I loved that. The animation on that show almost as much as I loved the show itself.
Watch Fire Force. It's made by the same
Is that Supernatural Firefighters?
Huh? Yes, kind of.
Okay.
We want to rewatch that one. Fire Force has proven to be excellent in almost every single department.
Okay, because I saw a description of that, and I thought, like, that is the most anime-ass thing ever, to make, like, firefighters and add in, like, supernatural powered aspects of it.
Well,
I love that idea.
They're all fire powers. And it's basically in this world, it's post-apocalyptic, where essentially there was this great cataclysm where everything burnt to the ground. Mm-hmm. Like 99% of the population of Earth was basically turned into these fiery husk zombie things, where people just immolate. And in this world, there are people who have pyrokinetic abilities, either to control fire or to generate fire from their body. And the Fire Force is a group of people who fight the people who become basically these fire demons. Because it still happens randomly to people. They'll just combust and turn into fiery zombies, essentially.
All right. I will look that up.
Okay. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching. And remember, don't forget, we will be back here next week with more news, more information. And of course, I don't want you to forget that we are subscriber funded. This video cast, I mean, the audio cast and all the other stuff, yes, we pay for, and that I've done it for 13 years. Why not continue? But the addition of the video did add a level of cost that is a little bit more than what I can safely, comfortably do. So $1 a month is all we ask. It just takes a few of you to keep this going. It's not that much, but it is that much more than I can personally.
What's the invite link to the Discord server?
We'll figure that out. Do you guys can you message?
I'll figure it out. Let's see. God dang it. Let's see.
Okay.
I'll figure it out and I will get it to you, AC Wraith. I promise. I will do it right now.
What if Blood Reaper wants to watch with us?
I'm not in a place where I can get onto my Discord server because I'm running a video. I will get all that information and I will put it onto the Facebook group.
Next week.
I will
Check
put it in the
back
Facebook
next week
group.
for the public
No,
invite.
so check it out in just a couple of days. I mean, a couple of hours.
Okay,
I should be able to figure it out. I just can't be running the video stream while going into Discord. Bad things would happen. So,
Okay.
so yes, we will be back next week. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.